Hi, my name's Tim Spencer. I'm here today on behalf of my client, Coca-Cola Enterprises, and I'm going to discuss with you their 2011 sustainability plan, which they term Deliver for Today, Inspire for Tomorrow. And before I get into the details of this plan and kind of how they created it, what their purpose was, what the goals they set out for, what they've accomplished, and also the goals that they've now created for the future, I'd like to discuss what sustainable development means, what the definition is, kind of why we have it, and maybe a misconception about it. So, I like to use the UN Brundtland Conference definition that they created, and they laid it out in really basic terms. And that definition is development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. And this definition, to me, really cuts it down, cut and dry, in layman terms. And it says that it breaks down the misconception that sustainable development means we have to give up our enjoyment now. We have to give up our wealth for future generations. Well, I don't believe that's what sustainable development means. And I think when people really look at it, they'll understand that. And I think Coca-Cola has done a great job of explaining this too by their practices. So I think the overall goals of sustainable development is that we can still have wealth creation. We can still create a profit. We can still make money. No one's taking that away from us. But what I think that means is that we just need to be more efficient in how we get those profits. And so we need to be more economically efficient. We need to be more environmentally friendly and more environmentally protective. And we need to be more ecologically sensitive. And I think Coca-Cola has done a good job of that. And so where does Coca-Cola fall into this? How is Coca-Cola more sustainable? How do they care about the earth? How do they care about our future generations? Well, when Coca-Cola started creating this plan, they really saw a need to improve their use of saving natural resources. They were using natural resources, and now they want to save these. They want to cut down on their waste. They want to be a zero waste company. And they want to reduce greenhouse gases, carbon emissions. So when they termed these and realized this is kind of what they needed to cut back on, how did they do this? Well, basically what they did was they looked at their operations as a whole, and they looked at their facilities, their buildings. They looked at, where do we buy our products? Are we buying them in the right places? Could this be done more efficiently? Could we be making them in a different way? Could we find a different producer? What happens to these products after they're used? What happens when I drop a bottle? What happens and it goes in the ocean? What happens to that bottle? What happens when I don't recycle a bottle? What happens to those bottles? And so they've made these changes, and they use this background of considering all these operations. And the changes that are being made, they're working with suppliers to save energy, to cut electricity. They're implementing new refrigerators with their suppliers to save energy. And what's great about that is it's not just benefiting Coke, it's now benefiting the people that are buying Coca-Cola products because it's working in those refrigerators and becoming more efficient. They're working on new packaging, new bottles, and they're using plants now. They're creating bottles from plants that are completely biodegradable, and these people aren't as worried now. If a bottle gets left behind, it's not as big of a deal as it once was. All their products are recyclable. That's always been the case, and they just really want to emphasize that that's still a high priority of them. They want to limit their own electricity, their own water usage in their own plants, and they've done a good job of that, and I'll explain that here in a little bit. And they want to change their transportation operations and cut back on carbon emissions. And so, basically, they've laid out three strategic priorities on this plan on how to make these changes, how they're working with the suppliers and all of this, and how they want to convey their message. So basically they've termed three priorities. Deliver for today. They want their actions to speak louder than the words. And I'm going to explain to you how they've done that. They want to lead the industry. Coca-Cola is huge. If you've never seen Coca-Cola, I'd call you a liar. Everyone in the world knows Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola's brand, its bottles, everyone's tried it, everyone's seen it. So what's great about that is they really feel like it can have an impact not on their own company, but on the world as a whole, and other companies can take on what Coca-Cola's already done. And so they believe they can make an impact in energy and climate change, in sustainable packaging, sustainable bottling, and recycling. And then they want to innovate for the future. They want constant change. As I said, they created this in 2011. They met most of these goals by 2015, 2016, and now they've set out goals for 2020. They're constantly aspiring to be great and do better. And that's what's cool about it, is because they're so public about it. So Coca-Cola's executives, Coca-Cola's sustainability plan, project managers, etc., These people are out in the public eye. The plan has been published. It's all over their website. They've made numerous videos explaining their goals, what their terms are, what they're trying to accomplish, and why they're trying to accomplish it. They want to better the world for the future. And that doesn't mean cutting their costs and cutting their wealth now. It just means let's be a little more caring for the people that come behind us. And so the executives are at conferences constantly speaking, constantly conveying their message. And it's not just, hey, how's Coca-Cola doing this? Why is Coca-Cola doing this? It's like, hey, Coca-Cola can do this. We're a beverage company. Why can't X do this? Why can't Y do this? If we can do it, you can do it. And they're very vocal about this. And so let's kind of look at what they've done since 2011, a little bit before, but let's look at what they've done. And I'm going to break it down by categories. So when we look at their energy and climate category, Coca-Cola's improved their energy efficiency by 21% since 2004. They've put in 5.6 million energy managing devices which have been installed on their refrigerating devices. And what this has done is it's amounted to a savings of about 3.1 million metric tons of carbon emissions a year. That's a year, 3.1 million metric tons a year. They've also installed about 1.4 million energy efficient coolers. And that's what I kind of said earlier is what's great about this is it's not just making Coca-Cola come off as more efficient and actually be more efficient. It's allowing their suppliers and their purchase of their products to be more efficient. It's putting these coolers in a gas station or a grocery store, and it's making that business more efficient now. So then let's look at water. How are they more efficient with their water? So water is a huge part of their packaging and processing of their products. So they've invested about $1 billion plus over the last decade in its wastewater treatment facilities. And the purpose of this is they want to replenish more of their wastewater safely. They want to replenish that to the earth. They want it to be used. And so they've improved this water efficiency for the 12th straight year. About 94%, or the equivalent of 153 billion liters of water that are used in their Coca-Cola beverages, have been replenished. And then their packaging. Obviously, everything they do deals with packaging. Their bottles, their packaging of their bottles, all deals with that. So what they're doing here is they've implemented about $35 billion in this new plant bottle. And this plant bottle is obviously safe for the environment, it's biodegradable, and it's reaching almost 40 countries already. And this new process they've implemented to make these bottles saves about 743 barrels of oil a year. That's what Coke is doing to better the environment. And so we can also look at a little bit else what they're doing for recycling of their packaging and other bottles is that, let's look to the World Cup. The 2014 World Cup, for example, they had about 7,000 recycling bins placed in and around the World Cup. And they collected about 450 tons of solid waste from that event. Just the World Cup. That doesn't include the Olympics. That doesn't include the Coca-Cola recycling bin you see on the corner of the street by the crosswalk. It doesn't include that. That's just the World Cup. They're making changes all across the world with these. And since 2008, it's reduced its overall packaging weight by 15%. They're making changes, and these changes were from 2011 to 2015-16. So they don't just want to call it quits. They're not good with, we did this, we kind of did our part in the world. No, they've got these 2020 environmental goals that they're going to reach and they're aspiring to reach. And so let me discuss their main goals with you. Main goals. They want to have a 50% reduction in their absolute carbon footprint of their core business. 50% reduction. They want 40% of their plastic bottles to be recycled products. So they want to make new bottles with 40% recycled product. That's their next goal. They want 40% of the energy that they're using to come from renewable or low carbon sources. So let's break that down by category. Energy and climate. Reduce the carbon footprint by a third, every drink by a third. Grow the business, but reduce carbon footprint of its core operations by 50%. They want to cut transportation emissions by 30%. They want to work in sync with these suppliers in cutting all this carbon. Water. They want to protect their water sources and safely return all wastewater from manufacturing operations. They've already done 94%. They want it to be 100%. And so they want to reduce recycling. They're recycling and packaging. They want to reduce 25% of the material produced across all packaging operations. Coca-Cola wants to be a zero waste company, making every bottle put to good use. They want to be cutting carbon emission, and they want to deliver for today and inspire for tomorrow. Thank you.